Okay, a shot of optimism. You actually may have more negotiation power today when you buy a home. And I think it's really, really important. Oh, turn that off. If you had this frequent, intense bidding wars over the last 2 years that made you put your home search on hold and you're feeling bad, that hyper competitive market has now cooled. And right now we're at a place where buyer demand, it's moderated and housing supply has started to grow. So these two factors combined means that a buyer should hopefully see less competition in this market. And with less competition comes more opportunity. So we need to look at a few things, a few trends that you might find helpful as you decide possibly to re-enter this market. So number one is really the return of the contingencies, which is an important part of the process is when it comes to buying a home, like the appraisal, the value of the home, the inspection, the quality of the construction and the home itself. In hopes of gaining an advantage, they would release these contingencies in order to make sure they could get the house. If you take a look at some of the latest data from the National Association of Realtors, the percentage of buyers that are waiving that home inspection or the appraisal is down. And also a recent article from Realtor.com points out that statistically, sellers are beginning to accept more contingencies. This doesn't mean we're out of the woods. We're still, doesn't mean we're totally in a buyer's market now. But it does mean that you have more leverage when it comes to that negotiation process with the seller. So the second thing I'll touch on before we wrap this up is sellers are more willing to help with closing costs. Prior to the pandemic, it was actually common a negotiation tactic that sellers would cover some or even sometimes all the closing costs to sweeten the deal. This didn't happen all that much during the peak buyer frenzy over the last 2 years. So now this is, I would consider this a tool in your toolbox as you negotiate when you're trying to buy a home. Just keep in mind, when it comes to closing costs, there are actually limits. So they're set by your lender and they vary by state and the loan type. So just make sure that you work closely with your loan advisor so they can help you understand how much the seller can actually contribute to your closing costs. It really just depends on mostly how much is being put down and the program type. So here's the bottom line. Despite extremely competitive housing market over the past several years, today's data suggests that negotiations are starting to come back to the table. So if you really want to find out and get nitty gritty to find out what's going on in your market, let's connect today. But I just wanted to, feed you some cool things of nuggets of optimism. Have a good one.